Hi there, and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Rosa Coelho, health coach, trainer, and teacher. I'm also founder of the Simply Strong programs and community. Here, we cut through the noise to simplify health, personal growth, and lifestyle, helping you to thrive with ease, confidence, and vitality. Listen in because you never know when you may hear something that changes everything. Hello, beautiful friend. Oh, am I thrilled to bring you today's interview. Today I speak with Krystina Klassen, and I have to say this is probably one of the very top interviews I've done in the sense of it was just so incredibly inspiring the whole way through. So a little backstory, how I got to know Krystina. I literally just days ago found her on the Explorer page of Instagram and was so inspired by her story that I just needed to know more. Little did I know, she actually lives maybe I'd say an hour and a half away from me, which is wild. I assumed she lived somewhere in the States. Anyhow, what inspired me about her story is I saw this transformation reel of hers, and it started out as maybe a bit of like a weight loss story, but then it quickly turned into her being able to do handstands at the age of, I think she started practicing them at 44. And I think that video said she was 47 at the time. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, wow, like incredible. And so this episode, there's just so many golden nuggets. We talk so much about self-worth and how to build confidence. And even though, we talk about handstands because that is a personal goal of mine at the moment. I want to be able to do a freestanding handstand anywhere, like outside, at the park, on the beach before I'm 50. So I'm down to about 7 months at the time of this recording. So we'll see if we get there, but I will definitely be training hard to do it. So even if I fall a little short, that's going to be a goal of mine. So anyhow, this episode, we're not just talking about handstands. There's just so many lessons in there, and it just goes to show how much we are capable of. And that at any point in our lives, we can make this decision to change, to grow our confidence, to grow our worthiness, to reach for more, and to become more of who we are. So I just absolutely love this episode. I can't wait for you to listen in. Please take the time to share this on Instagram, tag me, tag Krystina. This is definitely a beautiful one. Well, hi, Krystina. Thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is new for me. I'm really excited.
I love that. We were just talking about like how we actually just found out that we live really quite near each other in northern BC, which is like wild because I found you on the Explorer page of Instagram and I was like, whoa, I was totally just like in awe of not just like the physical transformation, but this is all about like your handstands, and like we're not too far in age. I'm a couple years older than you.
I'm 47, so I turn 48 in a couple months. So
oh, nice. And I'm 49, turning 50 this year, which is fun. Super fun. So I think what really intrigued me was like on your Instagram, what stopped me was you said something like, I'm getting old. You asked these questions. You're like, I'm getting old. Will I ever change? And I just thought like, wow, like I just love those questions. Like what made you ask yourself those questions? Because you've had quite the physical transformation as well as developed a skill. So maybe give us a little bit of your background.
Okay, so we moved up to Quesnel in 2014, and we were, I don't know, I kind of got like really complacent with the way that I was taking care of myself. Then COVID happened. We got really busy with work and I just wasn't taking care of myself. And I ballooned out the summer of 2021. Mm-hmm. Like I probably put on 25 pounds in a couple months. And it was like hurting me to like get up off the floor. And I really had like zero self-worth. I kind of hated myself. So I just decided, okay, I need to really do something to change. It was kind of like a fork in the road. I could either keep going the way that I was going and, heart disease and all these things run in my family, or I could make a change. And I have been following a lot of mindset, Instagram, different things like this for a while. And I was really kind of inspired by all these people that were making changes. And so I'd heard about 75 Hard.
Oh, yeah. Maybe
So,
explain a little bit what that is because I don't think I.
okay. So I'll try to remember. I did it back in 2021.
Yeah,
So you
just
gotta like,
roughly like the idea of it.
you have to exercise for a minimum of 45 minutes twice per day. They can't be consecutive. One has to be outside.
Wow.
You have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction self-help kind of book every day. You have to take a picture of yourself every day. There's like
Oh,
60
wow.
things you have
Okay.
to follow, like follow a nutrition plan. And if you miss any of and you got to drink a gallon of water every
Oh my
day.
gosh.
Yeah, so I had like a milk jug full of water that I carried around
Wow.
with me and drank,
Hilarious.
just so I would remember. And if I was missing out on drinking my water by 10 at night, I'm like drinking it like crazy because
Oh my gosh.
the idea of 75 hard is it's hard because if you miss one thing from that list of items that you're supposed to do, you have to start at day one again.
Wow.
And a big part of it was no alcohol. And like I like to have fun and have beers and stuff on the weekend. And we did this over Christmas. I started November 1st, 2021. And I knew if I didn't get through it, I would probably just give up. So it was really important to me to finish it. And I'll tell you, it was really hard. We had a ton of flooding and all the roads closed. So we couldn't even go see family for Christmas. So my poor husband, he was dealing with me. I'm not drinking. I'm exercising twice per day. It's minus 30. I'm walking every day. So,
Wow.
but I finished it and it was it was kind of momentous for me because it was like, oh, actually I can do hard things. I can do something that I didn't when I first started, I didn't think that I was going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the start. I lost almost 25 pounds in the 75 days. And then I kind of like I taught myself how to shuffle dance and then all these I was like, well, I can learn new things. And I didn't start the calisthenics or the handstands right away. I mean, I taught myself how to do a proper push-up. I
Cool.
started because I was always like, I want to be able to do a push-up. And I started like at the wall, like I was big. I was out of shape. I was almost 200 pounds and there was zero muscle. So it was a bit of a process. And I'd always felt myself really weak. So it just took a long time. But then I was, on TikTok all the time and Instagram, and there was somebody I followed that was doing handstands and had like kind of, oh, so you want a handstand? This kind of how you started. And I got this random idea. I'm going to learn how to handstand.
Yeah.
Who the hell am I thinking I can do this? I'm 44 years old. I'm, probably 40 pounds, 50 pounds overweight. And I started like throwing my legs up against the wall to try to do it, right? And that was kind of the start. And you're on your FYP, and it starts showing you stuff that you're interested in. I started seeing calisthenics and seeing these people doing all these amazing things. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I just really want to be able to do that. It took me like well over a year before I think I even got 5 seconds. But I was just really determined to do it. And when I got my first 30-second handstand, like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing.
Wow.
And then I think my best right now is just over 44 seconds. So I'm a little shy of my current goal of 45, but
Yeah.
it just led me to this whole community. And that's kind of what's kept me going. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
kind of why, yeah.
This is so wild. Like you went from not being able to do a push-up to
Yeah.
doing handstands. Like I'm a big push-up pusher, like within the ladies within my programs. Like that's the one thing that I really always want them to be able to do is a full, full push-ups. And I always say, like, well, you can't do them because you don't do them. A lot of women say they can't do them. I'm like, it's because you haven't done them, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a big part of why we're
So,
beating
yeah,
up the
like
body.
I started at the wall and that was even hard. And then,
With push-ups or
after
with the handstand?
with push-ups, even just with
Amazing. Oh
push-ups.
my
So
gosh,
I
amazing.
couldn't do it on the floor. So I kind of had a progression. So I started at the wall, and then when I got better at the wall, then I went to a dresser, then I went to a bench. Then I brought it down to the floor and did like negatives all the time because I was determined if I was going to learn a push up, I was going to learn proper form. I'm super technical. I
Mhm.
need to have the
Love
proper
it.
form. You'll see that when you see my handstands. I want them
Yeah.
like bone, like super straight.
Yeah. They look amazing.
And there's a lot of work that goes into getting proper form. And that's another reason why I film so much is because I look back on things to really see what's happening. But yeah, that's kind of the progression, started
Yeah.
doing push-ups. That's more of a body movement and decided, yeah, why not be a grandma that can do really cool.
So, well, that's what that's what I really loved about your page. Like all of a sudden, like when I found you had that transformation video, which is like near the top for anyone that's
Yeah.
gonna follow you. It's the progression. It's watching someone go from like not being able to do something to doing something. And I was just like, oh, like just in awe of it. And so then I thought there was a time where I wanted to do push-ups. My husband at the time was really into them and good at them. And I used to see how much he would train in order to get them. Like it was quite the process. So I know that it's not like just get up and do a handstand. Like there's a whole process that goes into it so that you don't become injured as well as,
Yeah.
doing it really, really well. And then COVID hit, divorce hit, and I kind of let go of that dream. So I think you just reignited something in me. And so I thought that night, I was like, I'm going to just try it up against a wall. And I filmed it like you because I thought, you know what, that's what inspired me about you was seeing that progress. And I remember I was like, when I thought, because I'm pretty strong, I strength train, I can do great push-ups, like, because it's my thing. And
Yeah.
I went to kick up against the wall and I was like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't believe the thought of it was easy. The doing it was like terrifying. I actually welled up. Like I felt like really scared. I was like, I'm never going to be able to do this. And then, it didn't take me long to get up, but it was just like even that little transformation. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be months of training to be able to do this.
Yeah. I've been training for like
Terrifying.
almost 3 years. The first bit that I was doing it wasn't super well directed. And it wasn't until later when I started finding videos with like proper form and what
Mm,
it actually means. And a big part of being up on your hands is like training your brain to not have that fear, the
yeah.
learning how to fall out of it properly. That's really important. And your nervous system until like it's trying to protect you, right? So that's why you have like that emotion and stuff when you're starting to do it.
Hey.
That's your body like telling you like I
I've
don't
never
know if we
cried
should be.
before or something like it's not like I was like total like, but my eyes were welling up and I was like, I'm glad no one's
Yeah.
here. But I was kind of really surprised by my emotional response to it.
Yeah, it's
Did you
like
have
I
the
think
same? I think you talked a little bit about that.
yeah, it's you do like your body is will stop you from doing stuff that like out of fear. Like if you've
Mm,
overtrained too much, your central nervous system is going to shut you down and you physically won't be able to do something. And so that's
right.
why rest is really important too. So
Yeah.
I'm learning. I had a lot of injuries last year, so I feel like I couldn't quite get to where I wanted to be because I wasn't necessarily training properly. I recently hired an actual calisthenics coach. So I had a really great coach before. He was amazing, you know, but it was more like weight based and things like that. And
Right.
I recently found somebody who's more calisthenics.
Can you talk to us about calisthenics for people listening, like what it is?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So calisthenics, I know there's a fancy Greek word about it, something about like the beauty of your body or something. I don't quote me
Yeah.
on that. I can't
Yeah.
remember the exact
Cool.
translation, but it's doing movements with your body. So things like push-ups, pull-ups, handstand push-ups,
Mm,
L-sit, that's like you're holding your legs up in the air when you're sitting down. Like
yeah.
there's so
Right.
many dips, like all these different things that you're just doing with your body. They're basically body weight exercises. The community is really growing and it's getting bigger, just I think because more and more people are seeing it through
Cool.
Instagram and that. If you were to think of like, say, a male gymnast when they're doing stuff on rings and all those fancy things, that's kind of
Right.
like what
Okay.
calisthenics
Yeah.
is, I guess. Yeah.
So when it came to the push-ups, like the first when you first started, did you just like try and piece it together, like how you should train? Because I know there's like whole wrist warm up protocol. Like there's like a
Yeah.
lot of prep that should go into it. Because I really feel like anyone listening, like, just be cautious because you can get injured. Like don't just throw
Yeah.
yourself up, and there is a process.
So to give everybody some perspective, before any training session, I am warming up minimum 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I'm pretty dedicated, so I'm putting aside 2 hours a day to do either. So I have 3 days a week where I'm fully training, and then the other days I'll do handstands or stretching and mobility. And I put aside 2 hours in the day. So we're talking like bunch of wrist warm up because your wrists are probably one of the areas that is most going to get affected with things in calisthenics.
Right.
And then a lot to do with like my different joints, like your tendons. Like I had a really like it's like tennis elbow, so
Mm,
tendonitis in my elbow this year, which it
yeah.
was hard to pick up a coffee cup, and
Yeah,
so
that's frustrating.
that put me behind. So I kind of had a whole switch to really warming up before I did anything. And also, if you feel a niggling or a little something in your body,
Mm,
you need to listen, especially when you're learning how to do things if you're a little bit older.
yeah.
So, at 47, I have to really listen to my body for sure.
Yeah. I love that you're saying that because that's too when I'm training women, and the one thing I always say is like don't work past the pain. Like that one more repetition that you think, because your body doesn't know numbers. Your body doesn't actually know if you did 9 or you did 10, but it will know if you were injured or not injured. Like rest or if you don't need rest. I'm like, it's just never worth it at this age because it does just take us a little longer to come back from injury for sure. And yeah, like sometimes just listening and giving it a little rest can really prevent you from getting that injury.
Yeah. Like I'm in Discord with a bunch of other people that are in calisthenics, and a lot of them are these young guys that, can get out there and they can, oh, I got my handstand push up in 4 months or whatever. Well, I'm a 47-year-old woman going through menopause, so I've been training
Right?
for a long time.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot longer for my body to learn the different things and to build that strength back up just
Mhm.
because I started at such a 0 point. I feel so much stronger now, but of course I want more. I always
You
want
look strong.
more.
You look strong. Yeah. And you look strong. You got like, there was one video where you're like, I like my back in this one. I was like, yeah, it looks amazing. Like,
Yeah,
and it's strong.
it's kind of a self-confidence that comes with showing up for yourself every day is really amazing.
Yeah.
I had went from having like zero self-worth to just feeling like I'm confident. I love putting together cool outfits and I feel confident in my outfit. And, I feel like I can present myself in a professional way because I'm not like slubbing around or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know
Let's
how to.
let's speak to that because I always talk to women about like when they do like the strength training or have this transformation where they're physically getting stronger. That I mean, I've been training women probably, I don't know, 18 years, something
Oh,
like
wow.
that.
Okay.
I say like I came into it later in life, like I was in my early 30s when I became a trainer. And I always say that I wish they understood like the power of becoming stronger. Yes, it's going to change your body shape, and that's awesome. Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to physically look our best. But
Yeah.
there's something else that comes with it that you can't describe. And it's like, it's that self worth, it's that confidence. I believe it's what you touched on, how you say, one, you can do hard things, but I also love that you said, I can learn hard things too, because a lot of times it takes learning these new skills. Like our generation did not grow up going to the gym strength training. Like
No,
mostly it was like aerobic stuff, it was like maybe going for runs to lose
we're like
weight.
the
Like we're
thigh master or whatever they called it.
yeah, like exactly. Oh my gosh, I still remember those infomercials. Like that was our generation. So I just think like when I see women in the weights room, which is like such an intimidating space to go into, it's just like I just think like that's amazing. And it's shifting. I'm seeing a lot more older women coming in and just I feel like our generation is very lucky because it's just in time. Because when it comes to, you touched on going through perimenopause, menopause, like the symptoms are not easy, or they can be really difficult for some women. And things like joint pain, frozen shoulder, those are all menopausal symptoms that women don't realize is associated with our drop in estrogen. And the strength training, the mobility work, it can all help immensely with those symptoms.
I used to have a lot of trouble with my shoulders. And of course, shoulders are really key when you're doing handstands because you're stacking your weight kind of over your shoulders. That stretching and mobility, like they used to click, like it clicks
Right.
so bad. And I really didn't have like a good range of motion going in behind.
Yeah.
And it's just doing it over and over and over again, warming the shoulders up, doing stretching. I do a lot of stretching with bands and do a lot of stuff with my scapula. Like it makes a huge difference. And like it doesn't hurt to get up off the floor anymore. It doesn't hurt for me to carry things around. It's just made such a huge difference in my day-to-day life too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's powerful, right? Because I think sometimes we're like, oh, we're aging. Like, this is just part of it. And there's like this acceptance that it's part of aging where it doesn't need to be, especially because I'm sorry, we're not old.
No.
Right. But it's true. We do have to be more conscious. You don't get away with so much. Like, you have to make a conscious effort to feel good and to do the right things.
Yeah. And I have to put in the work. I like that because I found something that I was passionate about,
Yeah.
then I show up for it. And I get really excited. Like tomorrow is Monday. Tomorrow is my push workout day.
Cool.
I get really excited about that. Like I'm excited to wake up in the morning and get to go train. So
That's
I'm
amazing.
not saying that everybody should be going and doing handstands or something like that, but and I've had this in a few of my reels. What I do think somebody needs to do is find the thing that they're passionate about in order to
Yeah.
move their body. So if you like hiking and that's your thing, then get into hiking. Or if you think you might like, you know, rollerblading or like anything,
Yeah.
really. One of the things that I did for cardio when I first started was I taught myself how to shuffle dance because I really love EDM
So
music. And
cool.
so I always thought, oh, it'd be really cool to go to a show and learn how to do the Running Man and all that stuff. So I taught myself how to do that. And you find the thing that really, moves you, moves your heart to want to show up every day. And, maybe you try some. I know everybody's on this running kick, right? Like it's really, real, really popular right now. Get your endorphins, everything. Well, you know what? I hate running, so
Oh, so do
I
I. And
don't
I've done
run.
3 marathons and I hate it.
And so it's just not the thing for me. And same
Mhm.
with like bike riding, I'm not really
Yeah.
into because it hurts. But some people absolutely love it. So if you like bike riding, go ride your bike. Go if you like running, go for a run. Like find that passion.
I love that. I, it's interesting as we're talking about, one thing I'm really have noticed over the years is that, like, when you have women that have a transformation such as your own and put their health first, and all of a sudden, like, you're a priority, like you've got your self-worth back, you're feeling confident, you're feeling good. Doesn't mean we don't have bad days, of course,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, we all have those, but in general, you're feeling really great. Do you find, have people that are around you, have they shifted as well? Because I just feel like when women make a change and they shift, that people around them do too.
Well, I know both my husband and I are now both very into trying to take care of ourselves and working towards our
Cool.
goals. We go on a daily 5K walk every day.
Amazing.
Um, and my kids can kind of see that I'm a different person. Like we went through like a whole bunch of like kind of life stuff. I used to run a daycare, and then I homeschooled my kids for a number of years. And I kind of threw my whole identity into being a mom, then being a
Mm,
homeschool teacher, being a wife, and like really forgot who Christina was. And I didn't really, I didn't put anything into my identity and like all the things that I kind of liked as I was growing up. And I just all got put to
yeah.
the side. I thought, oh, And it's this mom guilt thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is so hard for us. We feel like we're not being good moms if we're taking that time out of our day to go exercise or go do this. Well, that's really at the forefront of, if you take care of yourself better, if you take care of yourself and help take care of the people around you better too. So
Yeah.
uh, I definitely think it's had impact on our whole family just because I'm a much nicer person to be
Yeah.
around
Amazing.
now
Hilarious.
compared to when I was depressed and really didn't
Yeah.
like myself. So
Yeah.
I don't have, not every day, but it's better.
Yeah,
And
we're only human, right?
yeah,
I find when you become stronger in yourself and you know who you are, it's not that you don't have bad days. It's just that they don't last as long. You pick yourself up a lot faster than previously. Like things that maybe derailed you in the past don't derail you
yeah,
any longer for as long of a period. Yeah, I love that you touched on that. You know, it's interesting talking about the mom guilt thing. I don't have children, but my mom is 84, super strong, incredible woman. Like
yeah.
she's still making new friends at this age, going out all the time. She
That's awesome.
volunteers. She's like, I gotta work on Friday. I'm like, okay. Like she's a machine. Like she's amazing. And the one thing I know as a daughter, that's where I can speak from, is that nothing makes me happier than seeing my mom happy. And
Mhm.
I think that's what we forget is that as much as you think that it's about like doing for your kids and sacrificing who you are, they actually just want to see you happy. When you're happy, they're happy.
Yeah. And, I was just going through like a whole bunch of mental stuff and
Mm,
it, like stuff from my past was maybe not like when I was a kid growing up wasn't ideal. And so that stuff kind of pops up for a lot of people in their 40s. And you're like, so
yeah,
I was having a lot of issues where I
yeah,
couldn't figure out like I had a lot of control issues and so
right,
if I'd have something in my mind the way something should go, and if it didn't go that way, like I couldn't move past that. And so
right.
that that part of me is much better.
Oh,
I don't dwell on those things as much. I still have my moments.
yeah, yeah,
But having that fear of something, an item being placed in the wrong spot on a counter,
right,
like I've let
yeah,
that go. And more and more as I kind of grow into myself, I'm able to let more of that go. So
yeah,
the whole thing has really kind of made a huge change in my life.
yeah.
I'm a completely different person.
Amazing. I love that you gave that really specific example because I'm sure so many people are like, yeah, I get that. Like I sometimes when we just share these things, we realize, oh, we're actually quite normal. Like, and it just helps to know like you're not the only one that is like that or was like that.
Yeah, I actually had to, I called mental health. I went to my doctor and went and
Mhm.
saw somebody. And it took somebody else saying, well, after I told them kind of everything that had gone on, it said, yeah, so they put a name to it. Like
Yeah.
you went through a lot of trauma when you're a kid. Like you're going through complex
Yeah.
trauma and you felt the need to control things, and
Yeah.
that's why it's coming out now. And the
Right.
random things that I had to control, like how a cupboard is organized or how this, and then other stuff I don't really care. So it makes no sense. But just putting a name to it was really huge, and being courageous enough to go and talk to somebody about it was big. And now I just feel much better about all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Just going back to your training, when like near the beginning, when you're trying to develop these habits, because it's not I would say this is your identity now. And I think that's a big thing is when it becomes your identity, now you know it's lifestyle. Like you
It's
got it.
easy.
Even if
Yeah.
you have like a month or two or whatever, you're on vacation or life happens, because life happens at this age, right? Aging
Yes.
parents, whatever, right? But you know it won't be long because you want to get that feeling back. It's just who you are. But what did you do before that? Like, what did you do on the hard days when you're trying to develop this routine? Maybe you have a day where like you're just exhausted, you're in pain, you don't feel like it. Like, how did you continue? Or did you have periods of time where you're like, oh, just it's not going anywhere?
So I think the biggest thing for me was getting over perfection. something that I put in a lot of my reels and I make a lot of comments on other people's stuff is that consistency over perfection will win every time.
You're speaking
So
my language.
if I had a day where I wasn't 100%, maybe I just would do a walk that day, or
Mhm.
maybe, because when you're training handstands, of course, you got days where you have no balance. So, if you have an off day, maybe that just means I'm doing some drills at the wall, or I'm working on stretching something out, or, do something different. But the important thing for me was to have the consistency of showing up on
Mm,
a regular basis.
powerful.
And because as you stay consistent and keep showing up for yourself, your confidence in what you're doing also grows. But that consistency would just keep me, I would show up every morning to do something. So
Yeah.
it's not always going to be PRs, and it's not always going to be like, oh, I figured this out, or I was able to do, my 3 sets of whatever perfectly. It won't always be like that, especially, yeah, perimenopause, you're going through your cycle or whatever's happening. You slept like crap last night, you're stressed about work. Who knows? Like, there's so many different factors. But if you can show up and, okay, I don't have all of it in me to do a full workout today, but I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna work on my pancake stretch, or which is a really hard stretch, by the way. It
Yeah, I've seen it.
hurts.
Looks really hard.
Or I'll work on my splits today, or let's work on my shoulder mobility, or I mean, the biggest thing about getting handstands was I did like, I don't know how many hours, probably thousands of hours of
Yeah.
drills at the wall. So maybe it's just a drill day.
Yeah.
And yeah, just showing up. Just go. Like, another person I follow, they always say, yeah, if you got to skip one day, okay, skip the day that you like, if you have your training. So if you train 4 days a week and you're missing day 4, that's okay. Just show
Mhm.
up for your next round, show up for the next day
Yeah.
one, right? Try not to miss a couple in a row, because then it starts to become a habit in the other direction. But
Yeah.
if you keep it, you know, okay, I couldn't make it, or like we were in Mexico for Christmas,
Yeah.
and yes, I was able to work out a couple times when I was there, but we're in Mexico, we're going to the beach, we're doing this. We didn't move around as much, but it was just really important as soon as we got back that we got right back into the swing of things. And so I think the day after we drove home, we got home really late. And so we had to sleep in, but we were right back to doing our walk and doing our exercise every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the most powerful things that you've said. Well, you've said a lot, but that
I'm a talker.
thing about like I love it. I love it so much. I love that. It's just I agree. It's about that's how you build self-confidence. It's by doing the things that you said you were going to do, and it doesn't have to look perfect. I love that you said like, well, just go for a walk or choose something so that you still have showed up and done something. And I always speak of that moment, when your head hits the pillow at night and you're kind of running through your day as we just kind of naturally do. And you go, that feeling of like, "Ugh, I didn't do what I said I was going to do." Like that's what takes away your self-confidence. And what builds it is oh, well, at least I did this or I did a little bit. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's that like it's almost like a bank, like just keep adding to it. And that's the only way to build self-confidence. So I always say, like, if you're not going to do your full workout, do a quarter of it, do half of it, just do some of it, because it's that habit that is like the most important thing, especially at the start.
Yeah. And once you get into it and you've found something that you enjoy, like, don't
Mhm.
put yourself through something that you just absolutely hate because somebody on the internet said,
Yeah.
this is what you need to do to get in shape. Like, just do the thing that works for you. I think you're like, I wish people would give themselves permission to decide what they want to do instead of having to listen to somebody else. Tell you, I know family members of mine and friends probably think I'm totally crazy that I'm posting myself doing handstands on, I've
Yeah.
heard comments like, oh, your little handstand thing or whatever.
Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, you're
Um,
inspiring so many people.
so
Yeah.
And I just choose to not let that bother me and not let, somebody else's closed small-mindedness or whatever have that effect. Actually, I have a really great quote.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna find it for you. If
I
you
love it because I
bear
feel
with
like
me for a
those.
second, I'm a
Yeah,
total.
I'll just say I think that those people and those comments that are sent to you, they're almost like a little universe testing to see like, is your self-worth strong? Are you there yet? 'Cause
Yeah.
when you're like, oh, it
Um,
doesn't bother me, or like it's fine, then you know you got it. You're good.
so I've got a couple here. So this one was actually another guy who took the real estate course with me. He's based out of Victoria, and he said something on one of his stories. It just said, "Don't share your big ideas with small-minded people."
Yeah, I love
I
that.
thought that was awesome
Love that.
because really there's going to be so many people out there that just don't understand. A lot of people will be jealous, not willing to put in the work. So just don't let those people go there. And then another one, this is from my coach actually, from his page long before he was actually my coach,
Yeah.
says, what we believe about ourselves can either hold us back or push us forward.
Yeah.
I thought was amazing.
Yeah, 100%. That one actually kind of gives me goosebumps. Like that is so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
our
probably
thoughts
doesn't
are
even
so
know that he
powerful.
said it. It was like on one of his
Yeah.
reels or something, and I just thought that was such an amazing thing to say because it's totally true.
I
Uh,
love that quote.
so you believe in yourself that you can go
Yeah.
do something. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm still
amazing things
like
can happen.
absolutely, like, I still think back to the beginning of this conversation where you're like, you were doing push-ups against the wall. Like, I just like that's remarkable. Um,
Yeah.
so you're still now that I've been, like, stalking you, because that's pretty much what I do now is watch your like, is there a new handstand video up? What motivates you to still be going for these PRs? Like, I think that's super inspiring too. You're just like, near
Well,
PR, almost there.
I think the really neat thing about calisthenics and probably what keeps me going is I always say you win by seconds or by like inches.
Mhm.
So you can make these progressions and to somebody else who doesn't really follow it, they won't really notice. But to me, like an extra 2 seconds on a handstand is a really big deal. I know how much work went into it from behind, or, maybe. So a good example of this is I'm trying to learn an L sit right now, which is you have to use a lot of your core muscles and you're kind of like holding your legs up
Yeah, it's a lot of
straight
flexibility
straight
too.
out. So there's a variation where a progression to kind of get you there, and it's like tuck L sit. So you have parallettes. They're these little wooden bars. Kind of think of like if you had some round weights and you were putting your hands on there to push you up. And there's a variation. And so you do this little tuck. So last week when I did the tuck, I could only get my feet about an inch off the floor and hold myself for only a couple seconds. But then I did it this week and then I was able to get my feet off the floor a couple inches and back a little further. And I was able to hold a little bit longer. So to me, that's a really big deal. It seems like not much, but there's all these different variations. And so you keep progressing through. One day I would really love to be able to do a handstand push-up, which those are insane and you got to have so much strength.
They look insane.
If I could get to a point where I could do that, that would just be amazing to show people like, yes, you can do that. That is a long way down the road. You have to have so much upper body strength
Yeah.
to be able to push yourself up. But I strive for something
Yeah.
higher to be able to
Amazing.
get there. A one-arm handstand would be pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
those are look super
I
cool.
can only do them against the wall,
Yeah.
but
Even against
yeah,
the wall, they're super cool. Like,
against the wall, they're tough too because they put so much pressure on your elbows. But
yeah.
yeah, there's just certain things that there's these different skills that I would just really love to learn how to do. And so there's just this endless possibility of
Yeah.
ways that I can go and things that I can work towards.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
why I
love
love
that. And
dancing.
even like you're making me think of like when you were said for people to find something that they enjoy. Like once you find one thing, like it will likely lead to other things. Like when you set yourself this goal of doing push-ups, this is probably like all this language of like parallels and like all else. It's like that probably wasn't in your brain,
No,
like that
not at
kind of
all.
language. Like this is all new learned. it's a new culture that you're learning too, which is so cool.
Yeah. And I gotta say, one of the most amazing things about it is the community. You don't find hate on that side of Instagram or that
And
side of TikTok. What you find is support. Everybody's trying to lift everybody else up. If somebody posts a picture of a PR or they finally got their handstand, like we're so excited, like because
yeah.
we all understand how much work it takes to get there and how incredible a feat it really is. And I love that. Everybody is just so supportive of each other, and it's awesome. I love it so much.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because so like there are people that are like social media is so negative. I need to get off there. I'm like, really? Because mine is so positive. Like I only follow really cool people. I enjoy
Yeah,
social media. Like it's great.
same,
So
same.
I love that you've said that. And in fact, it has helped me immensely in so many. I just think we have access to so much great information now. It's
Well,
just
I've learned so much and so much from all these other people. I've learned that I can learn new things. I try new stuff. Like if I didn't have that, I would have never seen that first reel with somebody going, "Hey, you want to get your first
yeah,
handstand?" I would have never I'd be probably where I was.
yeah.
And yeah, so I'm thankful for it. And it keeps me like I like to post and talk with people on there. So it keeps me accountable and
Yeah,
it keeps me engaged. I love it.
I love that. I have just a couple more questions for you. We could probably talk forever because I'm sure we'll meet up over coffee at some point. We have to.
Yeah, we'll have
Um,
to.
but so I have a couple more questions. One is at the beginning of our conversation before I hit record, I was like, you're actually the first person that I've had on here that you're not a coach. You don't have anything to sell. I wanted you on for the like your absolute inspiring story. But tell us a little bit about like, yeah, how you started posting on social media. You touched a bit on it, but also then give us your handle and stuff so that people can go and I'll put it in the show notes as well, but let them know how they can get in touch with you and just watch your stuff.
Okay. In terms of social media, I first started out posting on TikTok a lot and I did like a
Oh,
lot of mom stuff
yeah.
and I do recipes and things like that. So I had a few people kind of follow me for there. I kind of moved over to Instagram and I started seeing more of this mindset kind of things and taking care of yourself. And I was really inspired by it. And so I'd had my Instagram, I'd maybe posted on there like a few times, a couple stories.
Yeah.
And so I just really used that as an outlet to start keeping myself accountable. And I do really like video editing. And so I was doing a lot of those really cool fast reels and
Oh, cool.
doing a lot of the video editing for it. I just don't really have time to do it as well as I used to
Yeah.
right now because I'm focusing on other things. But that's kind of where it was. I really wanted to it was like a diary kind of. I can go back and look at something and see how it was. And
Love that.
frankly, I just wanted to inspire people and let them know like there's this whole idea. I don't know, you're like almost the same age as me. So you get there's this feeling in our society anyways, maybe not in other societies, they value people that have aged more so than in North America. But there's this idea that, okay, I'm kind of finishing up raising my kids. I've done all this, and then society here doesn't really put a whole lot of value on women and aging women especially. They'll take better advice from a 20-year-old girl who has no life experience. No offense to any of the 20-year-old girls out there. I've learned so much from so many, but there's value everywhere, but as an aging woman, there's not really a place for us.
Yeah.
I don't know if other people find that but
I
this
agree.
is
Like
how I
people like
really
you are
felt.
changing that. Yeah.
I really felt like where was my value and I didn't feel like I had much in terms of like with society anyways.
Mhm.
So when I started all this, I just wanted to inspire women to know, like, yes, you have freaking value. Yes, you do. And this idea that you can't go and do amazing things after you've raised your kids and go on to have this incredible life. You've got probably another 40, 50 years
Yes.
after to do amazing things and learn new things and try new things. And that's kind of what I really want to get across with my Instagram posting, is just to inspire people.
Yeah.
And also just because I'm an extrovert and I'd like to be out there and
Yeah.
talking to people all the
Well,
time.
it totally worked because that's why we're having this conversation. Like,
Yeah.
100%. It's been a
Yeah.
long time. Actually, you know what? Like, to be fair, you're probably the first woman's Instagram account where I went, oh gosh, like I was really inspired by that. And that must have been because, like, I just kind of, I could relate. Whereas, like, a lot of the stuff is male. Like, it's a lot of men put it, which is amazing. Like, men should put content out there, and
Yeah.
it's incredible, and they inspired just as much. Like, I'm not really like anti, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's wonderful, but it just so refreshing to see more women our age. And I think our generation is really lucky in that we are kind of like catching this little wave just in time. Like, we could be the starters. When I first started training, I remember when I left teaching and I became a full-time trainer in London, England for like a decade before I moved again. And I remember thinking, oh, I'll probably do this until like for 5 years. Cause I thought, oh, cause then I'll be like my late 30s and who's going to
Too
want to
old or
totally 100% because
yeah.
at the time when I became a trainer, personal training was relatively new career path. There was like few, like I have a cousin who's amazing. She's probably one of the first personal trainers in Vancouver and just incredible. And she was like one of the early ones. But then there came this like little wave around 2005, 2006, where personal training and doing that as a career became a thing.
Mhm.
And so what I wasn't foreseeing, one was there was no social media, or Facebook was just starting. It wasn't really a thing. We didn't use it this way. And what I didn't have the insight to see ahead was that, oh, our clients are going to grow with us, right? Like now my clients, like back then my clients were in their late 20s, early 30s, and now they're in their 40s, 50s and into 60s. And so that's what I'm so grateful for. And there's, trainers ahead of me in their early 60s that still have a vibrant career, because like, I mean, 60 now is so young. If you've taken care of yourself and you've trained well and eaten well, like it is young. And so
Yeah.
I'm so inspired by that generation just slightly ahead of me, but to know like here we are still. And so I really am grateful for that. I think our generation is we're lucky. Like we just caught that little wave in time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think, if I look at, yeah, like kind of the boomer age or whatever, I think all those women, a lot of them were probably a little depressed, didn't really know where they fit. And it's not like they could go and do that because it was so looked down upon. And
100%.
so I like having the freedom to do that. Have a husband who supports me.
Yeah.
We put a gym in our house, and these are all things that I'm so so thankful for. Yeah, because it's
Amazing.
I don't want to go through, like, yeah, we want to retire and travel and do all these things, but I don't want to do it in a wheelchair. I went on a cruise, and there was an older couple and they were both in motorized wheelchairs
You're like,
trying to get around, and I felt so bad for them because, like, if you take care of yourself now,
Yeah,
you can have really great years down the road and not be in
absolutely.
pain all the time, and
Yeah,
just be
absolutely.
mobile, be able
I
to
love
get up
that.
off the floor without it hurting.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question. This is a question I asked everyone because I'm really about these moments that change everything. And you did touch a bit about this at the beginning, but can you think of a moment that was like a clear moment? Maybe it's not when you started making the change, but was there a moment or something that you heard or read that you were like, okay, I know this change is gonna happen?
Oh, where I knew it was gonna
Yeah,
happen?
you're like, yeah, you just we usually have these
Um,
moments of clarity. You're like, that was the moment.
okay, well, I think probably one of the biggest things for me was when I completed the 75 hard.
Mm,
It was really hard. And it's something that a lot of people don't complete. Like most people don't complete it. Most people fail. And the fact that I was able to push myself through that let me know that I could pretty well do anything. So still have so many things that I still got to work on and everything else, but I know that I can work towards them and I can get there. So that's probably one of the bigger things. And just and then, getting my first 10-second handstand or like all these different things. Like each one of those is a moment that kind of brought me closer to where I am today.
Right.
You have those PRs. My last handstand PR, which was over 44 seconds, like I started bawling because it was
I
just,
love that.
it was such a great feeling.
Oh, that's so great. Oh, thank you so much. And I just want to, before we go, I just want to say, again, I'll put this in the show notes, but your Instagram handle is Krystina. So K-R-Y?
Krystina, Klassen.
Awesome. Cool.
And
Okay,
that's
I'll put that in the show notes.
okay.
Yeah, Krystina, thank you so much. Like this was just, I took so much from our chat together. Like,
This is awesome.
I actually had a friend that said, I said, "Oh, I'm interviewing the handstand girl," and they were like, "What are you gonna ask? You're gonna talk about handstands for an hour?" I'm like, "Oh yeah!" Like I had all the questions. Like
Easy.
it was so easy to put together the questions, and I knew we would have her, like maybe go away, like go off. But I always like just to be prepared. And I was like, yes, an hour, no problem. So here we are at top of the hour, and that was super easy. And I'm sure we could do a part 2 down the road. But thank you. I really appreciate your time and keep doing what you're doing. It's incredible. And you really are inspiring so many women of our age just to go out there and, like you said, do hard things and learn new things. Just awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you so much for listening in today. I know time is precious, and I'm grateful you shared yours with me. It would mean the world to me if you felt an impact, a moment of inspiration, or learned something new. If you would share it with those you care about and leave me a review on iTunes. I'd love to know what spoke to you or what you'd like to hear more of. Your sharing and leaving a review would help so much on this journey to making an impact on as many people as possible. It's worth it. I know from experience, there are moments when something we hear has the possibility of changing everything.